for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Courteous & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Mr. Edward G Pascu, age 73, of Sylacauga, died February 3rd at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Courteous & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, announcing the arrangements. Funeral service for Betty E. Martin, age 78, of Sylacauga, will be Saturday at 2 o'clock in Courteous & Son North, with the Reverend Tim Teague officiating. Burial in the Talladega Springs Cemetery. Visitation at the funeral home on Saturday, 2 hours prior to the service. Betty passed away February 3rd at Coosa Valley Medical Center. She was a long-time pharmacy tech here in the area for a number of years. Online condolences at CourteousandSonFH.com. Courteous & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Mr. George Justice died Thursday, February the 4th. Funeral arrangements to be announced by Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga. And Mr. George was a wonderful man, and he'll certainly be missed. And George and I go back a lot of years as well. Mr. George Justice passed away on Thursday. Radley Smith Funeral Home announcing the arrangements. Graveside service for David B. Spurgeon, age 59, of Sylacauga, will be Sunday at 3 o'clock from Evergreen Cemetery. Mr. Spurgeon died February 3rd at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Visitation Sunday from 1 until 3 at the funeral home. Radley Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga, in charge of the arrangements. Antoinette Averett, age 56, died February 3rd. Community Funeral Home in Sylacauga will announce the arrangements. Graveside service, in other obituary news this morning, Mr. Doyce Edward Ed Han, age 74, of Alexander City, died Wednesday at Russell Medical Center. A memorial service will be held at a later date. Memorial messages may be sent to the family at radleyfuneralhome.com. Radley Funeral Home in Alexander City, in charge of the arrangements. Funeral ceremony for Quinzelli Quincy Wilson Reeves, age 67, of Talladega, will be 2 o'clock Saturday at Miracle Prayer House Cathedral, with Apostle Dr. Margaret McDill officiating. Burial in the Kelly Springs Cemetery in Munford. Public viewing today from 1 until 6 o'clock at the funeral home. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home directing. Ms. Reeves was a graduate of Munford High School. Funeral service for Mary Coleman, age 93, will be noon Saturday at Rocky Zion Cemetery. Visitation is today 2 until 7 at the funeral home. Terry's Metropolitan Mortuary in Talladega, directing. Sandra Eileen Yo White died February 1st. And funeral service visitation is Sunday from 1 until 2:30 at Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega, with interment with the funeral service to follow at 2:30. The Reverend Keith Reeves and Mr. Frank Murphy will officiate interment in the Oak Hill Cemetery. A memorial service will be held at a later date as well in Rome, Georgia. Memorials can be made to the music ministry of First Baptist Church of Rome, P.O. Box 1189, Rome, Georgia 30162-1189, Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega, directing. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home in Talladega will announce the arrangements of Mr. Quincy L. Stamps, age 38. Mr. Stamps died on Thursday. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home announcing. Celebration of life for Kimberly Ann Lawson, age 32, will be Saturday at 11 o'clock from Friendship Baptist Church Cemetery in Talladega Springs, with the Reverend Theangelo Perkins officiating. The station is today 1 until 7 o'clock at the funeral home. And Community Funeral Home in Sylacauga, in charge of the arrangements. Ernestine Boo Smith Cook, age 70, died February 3rd. Community Funeral Home in Sylacauga will announce the arrangements. In other obituary news this morning, homegoing celebration for Otis Grant III, age 63, is today at 1 o'clock from Terry's Mortuary Chapel in Talladega. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, attendance will be limited and face masks are required. The service will be live streamed on Terry's Facebook page. Terry's Metropolitan Mortuary Talladega directing. James R. Collins, age 53, died January the 30th. Talladega Funeral Home will direct the service. Graveside rites on Saturday at Elmwood Cemetery in Birmingham. Funeral service for Claudia Mae Robertson, age 75 of Sylacauga, is today at 1 o'clock from Radley Smith Funeral Home Chapel. Reverend Mark Deason officiating. Burial in the Mount Moriah Cemetery in Wegovka. Mrs. Robertson died February 2nd at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Visitation today prior to the service, 11 until 1 at Radley Smith Funeral Home. Radley Smith Funeral Home, Sylacauga directing. And funeral service for John W. Gregg, age 88, is today at 11 o'clock from Logan Martin Church of Christ. The family receiving friends at 9:30 until 11 o'clock at the church. Graveside service to follow at 2 from Liberty Church of Christ Cemetery in Lineville. Memorials and expressions of sympathy may be shared with the family at KilgoreFH.com. Kilgore Funeral Home in Pell City in charge of the arrangements. This obituary report this morning brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg. For pre-need funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975, Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg.